So when I was a little girl, my mom and I, our favorite show was Sybil, or one
Oh,
of our
yeah.
favorite shows was Sybil. And
Uh-huh.
did you ever see her go like this? I think she did this, or there was a movie that she was in, or somebody was fucking in, and they did this to like change their mood. So when they were in a bad mood and they had to be on the air, she would go,
Yeah, she was.
hello, everyone. It's so nice to meet you, no matter how like sad or upset she was.
That
So my
sounds,
mom and I would
yeah,
do
I
that.
think that was Sybil. Yeah.
It's somebody along that
Or it was Murphy
category.
Brown. Could have been Murphy
Yeah,
Brown.
yes, because I love Murphy Brown too. Like all of the
Yep.
super feminine badass bitches, like that was
The
my
power suits.
designing women. Oh my god, give me some
Right.
Suzanne Sugarbaker and the night the
Right.
lights went out in Georgia. Right? Oh, that was and like the reverb of her throat just made
Oh my
it. You
God.
could literally feel the grit in her body as she talked about this, and you ain't ever gonna disrespect my family again. It was just like defining moments in my life was seeing these women who were just so badass, and they never
And
talked
gorgeous.
about being lesbians, but they definitely didn't shy away to the possibility of these women. Like they had tenderness and everything else, and I'm sure that if they could have at the time, they would have pushed the boundaries more.
Well, and then not even just tenderness and stuff, but like they knew who they were. They knew what they wanted. They knew who they wanted, not just what.
Yes, and they weren't willing
But
to settle.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that
And
was so empowering because we were taught to always settle.
yeah, it's like, well, you're lucky to have any kind of attention at all. Like it doesn't.
Right? Well, I think that's also due to trauma. I don't think that that's just a.
No, but it is. Well, but it is also
Wait,
like.
which kitty is that?
This one's Mira.
Hi, my Mira. I can't see her, but I saw her butt, and that was cute. Oh my god, she got so big. She is perfect and wonderful, and I love her.
Yeah.
I like your
She's my
nose
little
ring, by the
gremlin.
way. It's growing on me.
Thank you. I'm glad.
How is it healing?
Pretty good. Yep.
No pain or anything?
I wouldn't say that. Especially with Violet. She's like, hi, love me. Thwack.
Oh. Nothing like bad enough to make you bleed, right?
When I have it flipped up and I have to take out one of the balls to do that. But then
like
the
fucking fifth graders.
The screw is up actually against my nasal passage, and then that'll make it bleed if I hit it too hard and it scratches.
You know, if you liked pain, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, is that why it doesn't bother you?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Did we miss that part?
No, I just sometimes like
you just forgot.
I forget specific details occasionally, so you'll have to. But yeah, no, I figured that was the case, but I couldn't remember. So I figured if I hinted, then you would just answer, and then that way I would know.
Ta-da!
Right? Thank you. Okay. So, business shit. So put on your thinking cap, but it doesn't have to be like the one that's emotionally draining. I just want the fun one that's the creative side that loves this part. Okay.
Okay.
And if it becomes taxing, you have to let me know because you come first more than anything. Capiche?
Thank you.
Capiche. You're welcome. Okay. So let me get to my Trello because
Trello boards, they're the best.
They are. I'm starting to learn how to use them and become more comfortable with them. Like I literally now have a whole section for the daily I am fucking awesome shit. Which is things that I do all the day. And I have it now to where when I check it off that I complete it, it automatically sets to the next day and resets itself.
Nice.
Right?
Fantastic.
Fucking
I'm gonna have to ask you how to do that.
I would be more than happy to show you how to do it. Use me. It's totally fine.
You hear that? You heard that, right? We've got this on recording.
Right? Like if I share this now, there's going to be so many more fucking people that like know what I'm talking about.
So many questions.
So, okay, first and foremost, this is like the dumbest question because I already know the answer, but there's a reason I'm asking it. Which one is this? Because I can't keep track of all the names. Oh, Yen's beautiful.
Yeah. He doesn't feel
Aw.
good, so he's
Didn't you say he's having health issues?
pancreatitis. Yeah,
Which his meds don't always help, right?
correct.
Oh, he's so perfect. Didn't you say that he comes to all your rooms and like yowls until you give him attention?
Yep.
Okay, you can just leave him here. I'm totally enjoying him
Okay.
as well because he's perfect. So,
Good. I don't
yeah.
know if you can hear him purring, but he's purring very
No,
loudly.
but I have a dog and 3 cats somewhere, so I'm okay.
Okay.
I don't know where they are, but they're here. They exist. I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe it's all in my head.
In which case, that's
Fuck it,
okay,
who cares?
right? That's okay.
Like
I'll
if
live
this is in
here,
my head, I'm okay with what's in my head right now. Like it's a good thing.
right? Exactly.
Okay. So business shenanigans. Um, would you consider yourself a crafter?
No.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why? What do you consider yourself then? And what do you consider all the shit that you do?
I consider myself a maker.
But what's the difference between crafting and making for you?
Um, Scope. So like crafting, I do some crafting. Like I do um, the
Your
jewelry and stuff like that.
terrarium that you just made
My
that I watched you
terrariums.
build that made me think of you for this specific thing. You actually
Oh,
inspired me, and then Jason inspired me too, which I'll get to as well,
okay.
because it's really important too.
I think it's because I use so much technology involved with my work. So like with the lasers and the 3D printers and all that stuff, yes, I set it up, but then I use a tool to make this thing for me.
But everyone
Uh,
uses tools when they craft. Yours are
Not
just
lasers.
that's not true. They have handheld lasers. They have things that act like lasers that do the same job as lasers. Yours is just based off of technology. And you're
Right.
using Photoshop, which you have to fucking know, which is a craft or a maker thing. So I think you are
Right.
incorrect by saying you are a maker and not I mean, I think that they're interchangeable.
I prefer maker. I think it's more of a personal preference, honestly.
Okay, that's fair.
But it's also like having gone to conventions and stuff like that, there's a stigma attached to crafter that there isn't
Because
attached to maker because you're crafty and you're crafting, so therefore the quality is now lower instead of being your own manufacturer, which
that's actually a
anyway.
really good point, and totally encompasses why I went with the name crafter versus maker or anything else. Because to me, the one thing that I love about Etsy is that at the beginning of it was because of crafting.
Yeah,
It was more about the
it was
handmade
handmade
aspect,
crafts.
right? Versus it being something that was done through commercialized technology, rather.
Yeah. Well, and that's why back when Etsy was younger and when I was younger, back in my day,
Right? We always
fucking
fucking
bullshit.
say
I
that
don't
now.
know, right? So, but like, 10 years ago when I still had I had the laser and I was doing all my stuff on Etsy and I was making it all and like doing it myself and doing the laser cut stuff, not commercialized, just, for my art and things like that.
Right.
It was completely different. And I didn't have people, because I had started into a new niche at the time where people weren't saying, oh, I could do that myself.
Right. Right. Because they didn't even have the money to afford a laser, let alone anything else. Right.
Right.
And I
Or
think Photoshop has definitely grown in its usage and more people are using it because it allows them to be creative. No?
I don't know about grown. It's always been like that. I am, and that maybe that's just I'm colored seeing that way because I was a graphic designer for so long. Like
I think that's part of it because I know a lot of people that don't know how to use Photoshop. But I think that a lot of I know a few different people that are now getting into more graphic stuff because they're doing creative things and they realize that to up their game, they need to use something besides just like Canva or whatever. So in that, it's becoming a necessity, but it's only for me, at least, what I would assume to be more creative people versus non-creatives.
I actually don't know.
That's right. That's fair. That's why I said
I
assume too, because it only makes an ass out of me and not you.
but you have such a nice one. Anyway,
No ass, no ass. I really don't. Like, it's literally flat. We're not going to talk more in detail because this is supposed to be possibly shared with other people. You know what? Can we have this radio show? Like, I love talking to you. I want to do like a YouTube channel with you.
okay.
Really?
Yeah.
You would be up for it because this is so much fun and I feel like socially, like I feel like I'm being super social, but I also think our conversations go deeper than just like, hi, how are you? How are
Yeah.
you doing?
We
Now
could even do it on Twitch live
no,
and then
wait.
push it to
Oh
YouTube.
my God, wait. Shh, we can call it Two Crafty Girls. I'm making you reclaim that title and you'll know why in a minute. You'll
Okay.
know why, but it's going to be Two Crafty Girls. I'm not even fucking kidding.
Well, I
Two
won't
girl-
say I'm not crafty. I just,
I know, but listen, and then we can have like our motto be two girls, one craft.
Yes.
To make it super relevant for people who would know what that is.
You must understand this meme before you can listen.
That's like literally the fucking like that's the test. Isn't it called like a litmus test? Like a test that you isn't
Something
it
like that.
what is I'm gonna Google it now because
Litmus test is what you use for the pH. So yeah. Can we not chew the bone against?
yes, it's a decisively indicative test, which would cover it, even though it's generally used for chemistry to test acidity and alkalinity.
Alkalinity.
Thank you. And then what it
Welcome.
using the litmus test. I'm
Yep.
so glad you're a scientist so that you can educate me when I can't pronunciate the stupid shit that they use to name things because they all went
Right.
based off of fucking Latin and old people shit. Oh, and
Not
also,
even Latin. They mix Latin and Greek, and oh my God, my head explodes.
well, okay, but not only that, like they created language based off of people, like based upon a rich society versus the poor society. Like these things were created for rich people to like, you know what I mean? Because the more education you have, the more knowledge you have, and then you can be like, I know what the litmus test is. Let's discuss it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like there's all these other people who are like, what are you talking about? And they're like, if I keep you below power, then you'll never know.
Right?
I don't know.
Oh,
But anyway.
I just had to Google it because yeah, apparently it was too good. Two girls, one craft does in fact exist.
Gosh darn it. We're going to figure out something else. But this is going to be our official first episode just because I think this is fun. And
all right.
We might as well, right? No one else is going to
Yep.
do this for us. So
Exactly.
let's create our spaces. I don't know why I was touching down at the moment, but this is like what I wanted to do.
It's the
Like,
excited face.
touchdown.
Arms. Yay.
Are we doing the YMCA now?
YMCA. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, it's a good thing that I'm not all the way like showing my boobs because I'm not wearing a bra. You put one on, but I didn't give a
Put a
shit
bra
because
on.
mine
Just
are
for
so
this.
far down that it doesn't matter. You can't, I mean, like, look, you can't. Do you want to fuck this? I'm doing this. I don't care. Like these people, they're adults, right? Look at this. This is ridiculous. You're like, it still goes further down. I mean, not that you're complaining, but from
I'm
a like,
so not complaining.
but I'm able to then get away with not wearing a bra, even though you were like, I have to wear a bra if we're going to show this.
Well, yeah, because I had turned my camera down a little bit, so I wasn't completely Casper the Ghost.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I had to angle it away from the window just a little bit.
So you
'cause the
weren't just
window's
finding an
right
excuse
there.
to show more of your boobs at the same time for me? I fucking called you on it. Whatever.
Did I deny it?
No, but the look on your face just made it so much better. You have no idea. Like, it just made all of this worth it. Like, I don't even give a shit if we don't do anything else today but talk. That just, did you just hiccup?
No, that was a giggle.
Okay, it sounded like a drunken hiccup. I mean, they're all one and the same for you anyway, but right?
Yeah.
I'm
I was gonna
surprised
say
I'm not.
I don't think I really hiccup when I've never hiccuped when I drink, and then I was like, well, but I do the hiccuping giggle. So yeah, sure, why not?
I
It
just want to
tracks.
see like drunk bubbles coming out of your mouth when you hiccup. Like, remember what was it, the
The pop,
caterpillar,
pop,
whatever?
pop, pop.
Yes, I want to see that. That would just make it that much better for me.
So, I used to have like a Sherlock Holmes
Oh, the
type
pipe.
thing,
Yes, it blew
but it was the
bubbles.
bubbles. Yep,
Yes,
yep,
those things are amazing.
yes.
I would give Wizard one, but he wouldn't hold it in his mouth. And that makes me sad because he would look adorable with like a little Sherlock Holmes hat. And then
Yes, yes, he would.
he would be adorable. So anyway,
And
okay,
anyway,
let's
yep.
get back to business. So we
Good.
already agreed that we're going to do a fucking podcast because we're awesome and we love each other. So that's business. Check.
Right.
I'm going to write it down. I am going to write it
Good.
down because we're not. This is why ADHD is not helpful, because you put things away to be more organized and then you forget where you put them. You don't
That's
ever
a
suffer from
mood.
that, right?
I
love that your
promised I
eyes
would
just.
never lie to you. So
I mean, I literally just have to look behind you and I've already answered my fucking question. It's not like it doesn't, a peacock's not showing their fucking like pattern immediately. You are a
Right.
peacock in so many ways. You are. You're showy. You can be.
I can be, yeah. I have to be like, look what I made.
Yes, when you're proud of yourself and you do something that you think is beautiful, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, you're also just adorable and wonderful anyway, which makes you a peacock, but you don't acknowledge your colors because you're dumb.
Because I'm an albino peacock. That doesn't make me any less majestic.
Yeah, but you don't always believe it and you need to, which is why we're working on it, aren't we? Oh, did it just get awkward? Let's talk about our craft business.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
It actually, so it's funny because like my boss, she also teaches at our local Healing Arts Institute. And she.
Do you see this look? Because I'm going to have a later question for you about her because I want to be put in touch with her, please.
Yes. She's amazing. But one of the things she's doing is she's teaching like how to grab your power, hold on to it, and like better yourself, and you find what it is that you want. She wants to just like help guide you to get to.
You want to hear
what's
what's so weird about that?
Hmm.
For the first time in my life, I finally understand that. And I never knew that that was possible. And that's like why I've been so happy. Like, I feel like I'm drunk and I'm like, wait a second, is this how like normal people feel? I've never felt this before.
This is what it's like to live without depression. And yeah, that's fucking hard.
It's intoxicating.
So yeah. And then this is if you take this feeling and then multiply it by 10, that's how people feel when they're in the manic stage.
I can because like ADHD has a little bit of like manic-y stuff that happens. And that's what's been happening with me with this. But I have learned so much to embrace it. And because I'm embracing so many different sides of myself, it's all like literally fucking clicking. I'm not even kidding. Like, I truly believe that me calling you when stuff was happening with Jason, I knew, and we talked about it and we even discussed it because you have that feeling, and when you know that something's so heavy and somebody's doing something, you can't do anything because you're utterly powerless because they are so dark, so dark. And because you knew that that was going to happen, I wanted to make sure I prepared you for it as much as I could because I was so scared that that would happen and you wouldn't have thought of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was meant to talk to you because I felt like we were so connected, but also just like being there to help you feel better because it was literally the darkest moment of your life. Like, And none of us could do anything. And it was the most powerless feeling I've ever felt in my life.
Mhm.
No, it's not your fault. It's not.
No. This is me empathizing because,
Oh,
like, I know exactly how you feel.
I mean, you were feeling it too. And I
Yeah.
just was feeling it on behalf of you because I can't imagine. I know what it feels like from
Yeah.
every standpoint, from the part of knowing, because my dad used to do that stuff to me. He would tell me he was going to kill himself and that he would make it look like an accident. I was 7 at the time. And he would make it look like an accident so that everyone else thought that he did it by accident, but I would know the truth that he killed himself. And
That is awful to put on a kid.
right, well, and that's, like I've had ex-boyfriends use that also as a way for me not to break up with them. And
Mhm.
because I knew that they were just being a pain in the ass, like
Yeah.
when I was like 13, I think it was much harder for me to understand that they were manipulating me.
Yep.
But at this point, I now understand. But knowing Jason and knowing him, he wasn't doing that. He
No, he
wasn't
never
trying
did.
to manipulate you. He was hurting
And
so bad.
yeah. And I was trying to, so like my boss was there when I got the call. And she also has gone through all of that too. And she's like, sometimes, you know,
Fuck you. I
the
need tissues. I'm sorry to interrupt,
sorry,
but fuck you.
sorry.
It's okay. Go on.
Totally
I'll find
fine.
them later.
Mine are right here. I mean, I
Oh,
would
yeah. Can I
offer you
have
one.
them? Thank
There
you
you
so
go.
much. Oh my God. Hold Come
But at
in.
least it
Can I
fixed
have
my
tissues? Oh, I forgot about him. He went outside
oops.
because he wanted to. No, tissues. I didn't say paper towels, tissues. They're not in here. So when you go to the garage, can you get me a box? That's all. Thank you. Anyway, I forgot I left Wizard outside because I was enjoying our conversation. So you're a horrible human being for not reminding me that Wizard's outside.
I had no idea he was outside, or I'd say go let him in and then we could start our talk.
No, you should have asked because he would have noticed that he's not
No,
here.
no.
You need to
What's
pay
funny
attention
is you
more.
had just looked around and you had just been like, I don't know where he is. And I was like, oh,
Oh
I guess
yeah,
he's
he
having
was
fun.
outside by the fucking door waiting for me to let him out. So I did, and then I forgot about him because of you. Thank you. Terrible.
You're
You are a
welcome.
terrible aunt. Okay, terrible fucking aunt.
I'm a better godmom.
Um, I don't know. You're not here, so you can't be his godmom.
It's true. Exactly.
So move closer, and then maybe we'll discuss it.
Find me a farm and I probably would.
Give me like a few years because I'm gonna make enough money that we have a farm for all of us. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. I would
Nope.
do it.
I'm just waiting.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing.
Just hold on and accumulate, like rent out part of your house if you have to.
That's kind of what I'm gonna end up doing.
I figured that would.
Yeah.
We're not going to
It's
talk about that right now. Let's
no. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
It's more of the like. This is the yeah. It's really hard when your person was the main income driver and
Yeah,
bringer,
that's the
and
odd for
then
me
you lose
right
that.
now.
And
Right.
it's like I had taken. So I love my job. It is technically part time. Hi, Wizard. And my boss is fucking phenomenal, and I chose that job because of the environment, knowing that it wasn't going to be able to pay all of my bills because
You had
I could do
Jason,
that and I
and it was
had
good for your
Jason.
mental health.
It still is
Right.
fantastic. Like I wouldn't be getting through this. I wouldn't be half as okay as I am right now if it wasn't for my work.
Whoa, wait. So are you saying that the universe is somehow connected and you were destined to find this job so that
Yes.
when you were going through this shit, you'd have all the support that you fucking need to get through it as a whole human being that loves herself?
Yes. Actually, yes.
I'm
And
believing that now too, as cheesy as it sounds. This whole week
as
has
I
been all of those things.
well, and I had worked there for 6 weeks and I had already we already hit some pretty big milestones and trauma stuff and uncovered it. And like my boss and my boss is younger than me, okay, like by a
Right.
decade. And so she's where I was at her age. And it is so incredible for me to like see that from the other side. And then it reminded me of where I was then, but also like the power that I had then. And I was comparing it like what's different now than what I had then. And a lot of it was like fewer traumas. That is a thing. But also like that was all before burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And like there are things that she'd be like, so like timeliness is important, but like if you are consistently like 5 minutes late or something like that, it's usually because of something else is going on in your life. And I was like arriving 1 or 2 minute late, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like we had addressed all the surface stuff, and then I was like, why the fuck is this still happening? Like I thought we addressed everything. And even my boss
Right.
was like, I thought we talked about this. I'm like, I know we did, and like, but something's still there. And it hit me on the way home that my last job, the one that had fired me for getting COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I had so much trauma around time because they had kicked me off of salary onto hourly. Then I was always constantly getting in trouble for working overtime because I wanted to do my job and do it well. And even 5 minutes of overtime was too much, and I had to get approval. But then if I, you know, took off right after 8 hours, I was constantly getting yelled at for not getting everything done. And I was like, well, that's the whole point of why I was salary in the first fucking place. So I could work, I could do my job.
What do
I could
you
always show up
mean?
at 600. Like, right? And I'm like, I'm not trying to work overtime. I just want to do my job.
Well,
And
you're like, there's this
so he's
pile of
like,
work and I can't do it within the time limit that you're setting within like a fucking 8 hour day or a part-time job.
exactly. And I used to like work through lunches, and she never understood that. She um and like so I lived so far away from where I was working that like traffic was always just a pain. Um, so like getting not being able to get there till 8:30 or 9
Mm-hmm.
was also an issue. And so like I would work through lunch because I was salary, and then, you know, leave at either 5 or 5:30, which is, the end of the 8 hours of work.
Right.
And she's like, well, I'm losing like half an hour to an hour from you every day. And I'm like, no, in fact, you're getting like an extra half hour to an hour every day because I'm not working for lunch, or I'm not taking a lunch and I'm still here. And there was this whole like, it was nuts, right? So she had her perception of the way things were, and then I had my, well, that's not exactly what's happening. And we butted heads about it for so long that I finally like just kind of broke down about it and just tried to create this very narrow path of which I could operate on, which is exhausting. And I
Mm-hmm.
was constantly like walking on eggshells. Well, I never stopped doing that after
Right.
working there.
Well,
And
I mean, also you're dealing with COVID and everything else. So it's not just even the work thing, it's that your anxiety is sky high because not only
yep.
did you get fired, you also have a pandemic happening. You
Hmm.
already got sick and had all the side effects of it. You are
Twice.
right. And then also, like, of course, it's causing stress in a relationship. Like, all of it
Hmm.
is fucking piling on. And you're just supposed to be like, I'm going to get through this real easy.
Right? Exactly. But like it was one of those awesome things, where I was able to recognize, because the first week I had gotten there, I had mixed the time up. So I got there like half an hour early, and I have a key. So like that's not like a big deal. But she's like, please don't clock in until I'm there, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I made that the rule. So wait till she's there was the first rule. And then the previous rules of don't work overtime, don't, do too much or too little. And
Right.
so like
It's a
I
lot to keep track of.
it is. And I finally was like, so I created this maze for myself, and I physically and mentally cannot transverse it. And
Wait, you're not
so
magic?
I know, right? I don't
Wait, what do you?
float.
I don't understand. You're Emma. Of
Right?
course you're
I know.
magic. You
But I
lied
can't
to
bend the
me.
laws of physics like this.
You are a
So
fucking liar. You lied.
it's a different kind of magic. Anyway, but like it was one of those things, like I was able to like tell her, I was like, so I have all this previous trauma, then so I need some clarification because these are some other rules and I was adding it to these previous ones, and I need to find out which ones still apply.
Right.
And she's like, oh my God, this is huge. I can't believe you came up with all of this. Like, and this seems so like out of the blue. I'm like, I know, apparently I repressed it. And so we were able to like cut to the shit of it and be like, okay, so that was just for the 1 week of like, if you want to come in early, you totally can. And the next day I did. I came in 30 minutes early and I started cleaning the fucking front
Wait.
front
Okay, hold
area.
on. I want to just track really quick. Is this your new job that we're talking about now? Not your old one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, and then
So the
bringing all
rules,
that
you were talking to her about the rules that you had constructed from
previous
previous
job
job. Right.
plus the first week.
Right. Okay.
That
Totally
so
understand.
I was
Just
trying
making sure
not
I was
to.
tracking the timeline.
Yeah. Well, and because I'm hourly again, and it's fine. Like I'm
Right.
not complaining about that in this situation because I went in knowing that that's what this was
Right,
going to
right.
be. But it was I had so much anxiety about working to like overtime or over the budgeted amount of
Right.
time,
Because
stuff
the
like that,
other
that I
place was
couldn't
so
let it
strict
go.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yep.
course. That totally
Yep.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I figured out what we're doing now.
Okay.
Crafty
we
girls
doing?
over caffeine.
Love it.
Because you have tea and I have coffee, and I drank tea earlier and I love chai
I have
tea.
coffee.
Oh, well, do you know why I'm upset?
Because I don't have chai and I'm the chai monster, so I should fucking have chai.
Yes, I'm super disappointed in you. Hi, love. Oh, I love
Yay.
you. Come here. Mwah. I'm not going to kiss you because you smell like failure. No, I'm kidding. I love you. You don't. You smell like success. I love you. I think you're hot. He knew it was a joke. He smelled earlier because he didn't shower yesterday. So like when he sleeps, he gets super hot and gross and sweaty because he is just literally like a fucking oven.
And he's a teddy bear.
Yeah. I always think he's a wolf. Like if he were to be in the gay scene, he'd be a wolf. I really think he'd be like a timber wolf.
I don't actually
It's
know
like
the difference between the Timberwolves and the Bears.
it's
apparently.
a scruffier version of an otter. It's like what's between an otter and a bear.
Okay.
So that's why I say like timber wolf, because they're slightly scruffy. They're more rugged.
Are otters the ones with like the super slick back comb hair?
No,
And very playful.
Otters are super playful and kind of twinkish.
Okay, that's what I meant with like the slick back hair.
Well, they don't have to have a slip back hair, but they can. I'm just, you were so specific with fucking hair.
It's good.
You know what? I'm now going to take a general consensus next time I go to a gay bar, and all of the twink slick back hair dudes, I'm going to be like, are you an otter? Are you an otter? And then the people that don't have it, I'll start asking them, and we'll see like if it's a slick back hair thing or if it's just all twinky looking, not twinks.
Okay.
I think it's like an older
I have no
version
idea.
of a twink.
Okay. I didn't like, it's one of those things like I've never did the never looked into the categorization via
Probably because you didn't have enough gay guy friends. It's okay.
I didn't have any bear gay friends.
Oh, I had a lot of bears because they're super hot.
I agree. Yes, I have significantly more bear friends now, but I didn't back then.
You were like, when the whole world of gay was uncovered for me, I started collecting animals.
That's a different kind of furry.
Of the zoo. Oh, I was talking to somebody else about this.
Okay, now I really want to see like a poster, like an informational poster of like the different kinds behind like bars that say like this is the gay zoo.
Oh my god, this is a bear in his natural habitat.
And he's just scratching, going, "Hey, baby,"
this
like that.
Mating call,
right?
And then it's like, this is the playful gazelle. He's a lord of weeping. I don't know. Oh, that would be so funny. Okay, we're gonna go back to business because it's relevant business with gay crafting. People. Yes. Okay. So we've established that. Yeah, we've established that even though you are a maker, it also can be said that you are a crafter. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you for checking that list so that we can go back to my shit, since you're like really distracting me. I'm supposed to be professional here and you're just like really making it very hard. Yes, totally. Maybe.
Some of it.
Okay, so I'm gonna read. Let's see. Hold on. I have to figure out which way the mouse thingy works for Trello because it's not intuitive and it's a pain in my ass.
Boo.
But it's okay. So
Yes, Yin.
my idea is
Okay.
basically to create a social networking site for crafters to connect and learn is like the basic gist.
Okay.
However, on top of that, the idea is to make it accessible to all in terms of demographics for people who can't afford things, as well as making things more friendly for dyslexic people, for hard of hearing, for blind, and doing things to incorporate them so that they are included in all of this. Because part of okay, so now we're going to get emotional. I'm very sorry. I'm going to explain where the idea came from and part of everything. So after you and I had our conversation about Jason that night and everything happened on the next day, I actually like was talking to Guillermo for a little bit. Well, I was really nervous because I didn't know, like, I know that we are close in so many ways, but I'm also not there all the time. So it's very hard for me to sometimes know what your mood is or your like where you are in terms of like your mental health journey. And even though we talk about it, sometimes talking about it can be totally different from where you are perspective wise because things change, right?
Right. And I'm one of those weird people who like I don't hide anything that I'm feeling, but
you also
that
don't go out of your way to talk about it.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. But like, yeah, when I'm in the thick of it, I'm sitting there processing. That's all I'm doing, and I
Right.
don't talk to anyone except my therapist. But yeah,
Right.
yeah. And my
So
therapist is more of a like, here's tools because I've done therapy for so long that I actually don't need to go talk to someone about it for the most of the time. I just need all right, remind me what tools these are that I need to use to get from A to B, because here's where I am, here's where I want to be.
wait, so how old were you when you first had a therapist? I'm comparing it to my story because we're gonna like have a let's
I was
have an
at,
age off. What was your
I was
youngest age?
somewhere between 3 and 4.
Fuck you. I was at 3 or 4 too. Fuck you.
Oh, well, you know.
What kind of therapist? I like totally made so much noise that Wizard got up from his spot.
Oh,
What were you going to a therapist for, if you don't mind me asking? If you're comfortable talking about it, because again, I told you we were going to talk about everything.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's
Okay.
that face was, I don't necessarily agree with my mom's decisions at the time.
That's fair.
A lot of, because she has a lot of stuff. And a lot of her stuff is projecting onto me because
That
she's
makes
a
sense. Right.
narcissistic parent type. She's not a narcissistic. She just can't, or she's not a narcissist. She just can't separate my experiences from hers. She can't, she just doesn't have that jump. And
Right.
it's, I've done a lot of work to get to the point where I'm okay with it. I know how to navigate it. Like, it doesn't really, it's frustrating, but it doesn't really affect our relationship.
Like it's no longer causing you trauma because you've dealt with what the source is and what your part is in it, which is no part at all.
Exactly. And then also like being able to recognize, okay, she's not actually responding to me. She's responding to the shit in her own head. I just happen to be the mirror of it at this point.
Right.
So that being said, I'm not sure. She said I was starting to show depression.
You're fucking 3. How is that?
I know.
Okay.
Right. So that's why I was like, I'm not sure if I agree with this, but I mean, it was still kind of a good thing. Because I learned so much from it and it got the ball rolling on other stuff. But like, so my parents split and then got divorced, but divorce in Canada takes like a year and a half to 2 years to complete just the separation process. So like she couldn't leave the country because she was stuck there, and she was working on her PhD, a dual PhD that she had already restarted once when we moved to Canada.
Holy
Yeah.
cow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So there's this all this stuff on top of it. And my dad had
Right.
finished his first and moved across Canada to start his new job, which is great for him. But they had already started having issues.
Right.
And so there was this abandonment thing that I can totally see myself latching onto. It was like I had two parents, and then suddenly I don't. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why they're not here anymore. I know they're not dead, but like I don't know. It's kind of like elongated camping trip, basically, is how I held on to it, and I just didn't
That's
think about it otherwise.
insane.
Yeah. And then so my mom was raising me by herself in a second story single person bedroom apartment of a mansion, Mrs. Oliver's house. And
Oliver is who?
Mrs. Oliver is who owned the house that we were renting.
Oh, okay. I was like, who the
Yeah.
fuck is Oliver?
Mrs. Oliver.
Who's
That's
this
like
new
that's all I
person?
know about her.
Okay.
I don't even know her first name.
That's
I don't even
adorable.
remember the address.
Does she have an accent? I want her to have an accent.
Well, she had like the little lady Canadian accent. Yeah.
What's the old lady Canadian accent? I need you to do it for me so that we
Oh my
can
God.
really get a good picture of this.
It's like, hi, how are you? Like, it was
Oh, is
that kind
it
of
like
stuff.
the old lady from Tweety? Remember Tweety Bird's old lady?
Yes.
Is it like her?
It was like grandma, exactly
Okay.
like grandma.
Okay.
Yep.
I totally imagine. And was she like, did she have the like proper hair and everything? And was she hunched over like the lady, or what did she look like?
She was hunched over. Her hair was down and kind of poofy. Like
Okay.
remember, this is from 4-year-old or 3 to 4-year-old.
How do you even fucking
like,
remember this at 3 and 4? Because I don't remember. Okay, well, let's keep exploring.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
fun.
and she had the big glasses, but she mostly wore like nightgowns and robes. And
if she was going to be a
slippers.
golden girl, which one would she have been?
Sophia.
I didn't even know if you'd be able to answer it, but I'm so glad you played. Did she always start her stories with like, way back when, Sicily, the year was 1972, remember?
I don't know. I didn't really talk to her that much.
That's what
I just remember.
She's who created Sophia. She like, I don't know how it happened, but she was really the like.
Probably someone who met her or rented from her, like a student who rented from her. I don't know.
How long did that therapy last?
Oh, hold on. Back up a little bit.
Yeah, no problem.
Haven't quite gotten to Texas yet.
Oh, Jesus. Can we just avoid Texas? Like, nobody cares about Texas.
Because I grew up there. So, like, it's
okay, fine.
It's a good chunk. No, it's a good chunk of the trauma part. So, like,
I can totally imagine.
My mom or my grandma offered to take me on and help raise me while my mom finished up her PhD and doing all the dissertations of like, because there's so much involved in it, right?
Right.
So
and that was amazing of your grandma.
Yeah. And so like she's like a second mom to me. And my grandfather was more of present as a father figure than my own father. My father ended up being more like a big brother type.
Okay.
But anyway, going back. So they sent me off to Texas from Canada.
Yes. Canada, eh?
Canada. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Can you talk like that for the rest of this time?
Get me drunk enough and tired enough, and yes.
So
it's really funny. Actually, it's really funny when I get high because it kind of does both. Anyway,
so we're gonna do an episode where you're drunk,
like high as a fuck.
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay with that.
That's fine. It's legal here, so it doesn't matter, right?
Right. And I have CBD here, so
perfect.
So
yeah, so the trauma of going to Texas and everything being so different and not being near my mom, and I'm sure that even created more abandonment.
How long were you away from your mom?
I don't even know. It was a couple years, or at least 1 year, if not 2 or 3. But like,
and you were 4 at this time?
3 to 4, yeah.
Holy shit! I can't even imagine, because you don't even understand at that point why it's happening. You have no.
I didn't.
Did you blame yourself?
I'm not sure, honestly. I'm sure I to answer it plainly, there is and has always been a if I'm good enough and
Maybe she'll
not
stay.
trouble, then I won't be abandoned or I won't be left behind.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah. So there's always been like a little bit of a flavor of that, and it's something like constantly working on always. Ever
It's
since
always
then,
fun if
and
you were adopted too. That adds an extra element to it.
oh my God, right? I
Someone
can't
who's
even imagine it
adopted.
being
I
any
know.
worse than like if I had been adopted in that situation on top of it all. Like I don't even know that. Anyway,
Hello, that
anyway,
was me. You would turn out to be me. I don't know if
okay.
you would be okay with that or not, but this
I
is
mean, we're not that dissimilar, to be honest.
so then I guess you did come out pretty
I did.
awesome, if I say so myself.
So did you. Mhm.
Thank you. Okay, so anyway, go on.
Okay. So my mom comes back. I think it's after like a year or so. No, she wasn't even back a full year, but she got me straight into counseling because I looked depressed or was acting like I was depressed. Really, I'm sure I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm in a
You're
foreign country.
confused. You feel a bit, I mean,
My
like, of course, at
I
this
have
point, depression is
only
like,
one parent, and but I used to have two, and now I kind of have three. I'm sharing a room with my mom. I don't know what's happening in my life. Whatever. Can I go play with Legos now? Like that was me, right? Um,
that
so
actually, that brings up a good point when you say that you wanted to play with Legos. So within that time frame, did you find yourself wanting to lose yourself in artistic things in order to not be focusing on your reality?
I could probably actually. I have always been super, super creative, but I know at that point I was playing by myself because there weren't really many other kids
Mhm.
nearby. And I didn't have a lot of
Only
friends yet.
child
An only
syndrome
child, yep.
with
Um,
trauma and
right?
ADHD.
Yeah. Eh. Anyway, there's a whole thing around there too because of this fucking counselor. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I spent a lot of time playing games that were make believe, playing make believe,
Mhm.
and could either do it with dolls by myself, uh, drawing. Like I come up with stories of the stuff that I'm drawing. Like I can see it animated in my head, kind of thing.
I used to
Um,
sing. That was singing for me. Like my mom would find me, like she would walk by my room growing up and she would hear me singing to God. And I would just be like singing about all of my troubles because like I literally the first time I ever tried to kill myself, I was 7.
okay.
And my mom at the time was with a woman in a lesbian relationship, but not out and not talking about it. Nobody knew about it. And I'm this little queer kid that has no idea I'm this little queer kid, but I'm surrounded by all of these amazing, wonderful queer women. But then also, my mom was in a relationship with somebody who was very unhealthy. And she abused me to the point where, like, she was the one who enforced like all of the rules and then enforced like punishment too.
Ooh.
Um, and yeah, so like when I would do something wrong, like I remember one time I didn't want to do my homework. And of course, I'm this troubled kid that's like trying to figure out life when she has a father who's literally emotionally obliterating her soul, as well as
Right.
kids that are doing the same thing because I am so fucking lost and don't understand and just trying
Yeah.
to have any sort of love from anyone. And
And there
because
and no kids could relate to what you're going through, and
not
so they
only
make
not only could they not relate, but like I was getting blamed for all of these things by teachers and parents and everyone else for being like this bad, horrible child when all I was trying to do was not only preserve whatever little piece of my heart that I had left, but also like protect myself because I had like
yeah.
people try to start fights with me. So I'd fucking beat them up too. I don't get like, you're going to try and come at me. Like my dad didn't beat the shit out of me, but he scared the shit out of me. And I had to learn very quickly that at times I had to protect myself by standing up for myself, even to my dad, because there were points where it got too scary. And if I didn't say something or if I didn't do something and then exit the situation, I was terrified at where it would go. Like to the point where when
Yeah.
my dad was angry with my mom before they divorced, like she would sleep in front of my crib because she thought he was going to kill us. I mean, he would have. He would have. He used to like tell her that he was going to do that all the time and talk about how he was going to kill himself and he was going to kill us with him.
Oh my
And
God.
you are very familiar that when you are choosing to be that fucked up, you do get to a point where that's what you do.
Yep.
And he would have gotten to that point. I know he would have. I saw the hatred in his face and his eyes, and I just knew what it was capable of.
Yeah.
So shit, where was I? Please help me. My ADHD just like went crazy and focused on my dad, and I forgot.
Okay.
My trauma.
Yeah. And with the kids and like
Oh,
you were singing to God
yes.
because that
Thank
was your way of trying
you.
to preserve.
Yeah. Oh, I love you. Thank you so much for keeping me track. No, so like I would sing and I had all these dreams that like I would have to fight for God because I was at this point like going to Christian school. So religion was this very big thing. God's going to save you. Jesus is there for you. Jesus loves you no matter what. You know, like you're and as a kid
Yeah.
I believed it and I needed it because there was no hope in my life. There was none.
Right. Yeah.
About the lady who hit me. That's what it was too. So this woman who was like the now punisher in the house. So she was not like a stepmom. They weren't married or anything, but they were girlfriend and girlfriend. But things had to be kept under wraps because my mom worked for the DOD and they are very ignorant and homophobic and
Yep.
racist. So they didn't discuss it. It wasn't talked about for many, many reasons. But this woman would then punish me like for not eating broccoli or for not doing my homework. And she would take me upstairs and she'd get a leather belt and she'd make me take my pants down and my underwear down and she would hit me 100 times and I'd have to count it out loud. And
The
it hurt.
fuck?
It fucking hurt. And
100 times.
100 times every time that I did something wrong and she thought I needed to be punished. But the other thing is I was screaming for my mom trying to get her to save me because it was terrifying. This woman was awful to me and I had no one to protect me. So I would
Yeah.
scream for my mom to come and save me and my mom instead would go into the garage and pretend like she was going to 7-Eleven because she didn't have the courage to stand up for her because she was so battered emotionally. And so it became this vicious thing. So when I
Mm.
was 7, I was going to kill myself. And I was standing, we lived in a 2-story condo and I had the balcony and I was standing up on the roof of the other house next to us. And my mom's roommate, her name is Maria Montez. Maria came out of the thing and was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to kill myself, blah, blah, blah." And she was like, "Well, why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Well, because you're a fucking asshole and blah, blah, blah." And she was like, "Okay, I'll help push you." And I was like, okay. And then I thought about it for a minute. I was like, you know what? Never mind. Fuck you. I'm going to spite you and live anyway. And I'm sure that there was part of her that knew that that would maybe work. I don't know. Like, I don't know if she was trying to help. I know that she thinks she loves me now, even now, but I don't know that she knows what love is. And I'm not
Yeah.
willing to let her try to figure that out on me anymore.
Yeah. No,
Um,
absolutely not.
so, and like it was bad too, because my mom would go to the hospital for asthma, and this woman would tell me that if my mom died, it was my fault. Not even kidding. Like we would be in the bathroom and I'd be crying hysterically because my mom would be in the hospital for like pneumonia or something. And she would tell me that it was because I was stressing her out because I was such a bad little girl. And if I just learned how to behave, then my mom wouldn't go to the hospital and possibly die because of me. So it's just a lot of different things. And I
Wow.
totally relate where you're
Yeah.
coming from and all of this. Like, I've had therapy since I was 4 because of sexual abuse from my dad, but it's also not just that. It's my mom realized that even though she didn't have the tools to deal with her shit, she
Mm-hmm.
realized that I was going down a path that just was not like she knew how damaging it was because she already went through it herself.
Right.
So she forced me to get therapy. And it sounds like your mom also did the same. And even though
But she should have gotten therapy her own damn self in
that's
addition
what
to
I
it
said about
and didn't. She
Yes,
didn't get
like,
therapy for herself until like, I don't
ugh.
know, until my teens.
Yeah, my mom started getting therapy in my teens, and she only went for a little bit until I
Yep.
stopped going to therapy, and then she stopped. And then I eventually realized I needed another therapist and found one years later, and even tried to get her to go to therapy with me then because she didn't want to talk about her Alzheimer's diagnosis. And
Right.
she refused. Like, she was very adamant, like, I have all of my trauma that's in this box and I put it up on the shelf in my head and I don't touch it. Because if I touch it, I'll get upset and then I'll get sick and then I'll have an asthma attack. Well, I mean, because when she was little, she would have those things that would happen. She'd get so upset that she would
It would
have an
trigger an
asthma
asthma attack.
attack and then
Yeah.
she'd end up in the hospital. She was very sickly. But if only she learned how to like deal with her emotions rather than hiding her emotions, she would have been
Right.
able to like breathe through it and maybe it wouldn't have been perfect. Maybe she still would have asthma attacks, but
Yeah.
obviously putting her emotions in a box and putting it in her head and not actually dealing with it and feeling the emotions that her
Didn't help
trauma
shit.
caused didn't help. Did
Didn't
not
help shit.
help.
No.
So, you know,
Yeah.
that's so anyway, okay.
So yeah,
That
no. Like, so like I completely agree. My mom did something similar with that.
mhm.
And then so like the first counselor that she brought me to, I think she realized early on he wasn't really helping.
What was his
And
name? Do you remember his name?
Chris.
Mine was Dr. Aaron Newstad. And he literally looked as Jewish as you think he does.
That's fantastic.
Like he
So my
reminds
second one was Dr. Mark Scheinbein, and he was basically, yep,
was he
oh,
Jewish?
he might have been,
I don't know
honestly.
if mine was Jewish either, but I imagine because he had like the glasses and he had a beard or not a beard, he had a mustache
Yep.
and he was balding at the top and he had brown hair and he's like
So he was Silver Fox. And definitely
ooh,
had the mustache and
okay.
was
And
very
his
charismatic
demeanor,
and
oh, mine was not charismatic. He was very quiet and I ended up locking myself in my bathroom one day because I thought he was going to do something to me. And so that was
oh,
how I like stopped seeing him because I was terrified that something sexual was going to happen. So I just flat out refused. But yeah, like it took a while because my other therapist after that, shit, what was her name? I remember what she was. She was like this new age woman who I thought was fucking loony because she talked about the universe and how all this shit is connected. And like, you're not going to
you're
fucking tell
like,
me that right now. Like, I am
right.
going through trauma and you are not going to talk about this shit. You're not going to say that there's all this positive and wonderful stuff. Like, it was like fake positivity or toxic positivity to a
Toxic, yeah.
level that I have that was just so damaging to me, so damaging because
Yeah.
it teaches you that only good things happen. So if bad things happen, it must be your fault because only bad things happen to bad people. And if you
Yep.
want all this love in your life and all this light, and that's what you think about all the time, then it should automatically be there. But when you're
Right.
somebody from trauma, you're like, I am fucking trying to see this light. Where is this light? Why can't I have it? You know, it's anyway. So yeah, she was like this fruitcakey lady and sent me to a fucking camp for troubled teens for 6 months. Yeah, did I not tell you about that?
You didn't tell me about
When I tell you
that.
I have lived a life, like yeah, so
I just got sent to Christian camp. Like,
no, it was a bunch. I was 12 years old and it was literally a bunch of like druggies and like troubled teens, but most of them were from very like affluent families. One of them was a famous musician's daughter who comes from like a royal line of country people, like country musicians. And then there was another one whose dad was an actor on some TV show. And then there was another one who's like he was 13, his name was Scott, and his dad was some like computer billionaire or something. And he thought his son was so troubled that he sent them to this camp. But like my first day there, it was so crazy. I had somebody try to kill me.
what?
So I can't even when I tell people that I have lived a life, like people don't understand. in my life. It sounds like a soap opera, but I swear to God, it's not.
Right? Some of the shit is just so fucking weird. Like you can't make it up.
It's so did you ever go to like a mental institute when you were a teenager? Like I went to Charter Hospital when I was 12 for trying to kill myself again. And that was like,
no.
I fucking loved it. That should have been like, oh, maybe something's mentally going on that you enjoy Charter Hospital for its boundaries.
Right? Oh my God. No, I've sent people to the mental institute, like for friends who tried to kill themselves, stuff like that. So
As a
like
teenager?
I told on them because I was worried about them. Yep.
Were they upset with you for that, or did they
No,
understand
I
why
actually
you
got
did
a
it?
phone call from them afterwards and thanking me on multiple occasions.
That
So,
must have been so scary though to do as a
it
kid
was.
because you don't know if they're going to be mad at you for telling or if they're going to
Yep.
feel like you betrayed them.
Right. Yep.
You should be so proud of
And
yourself.
she and I are still friends. So,
You're such
I
use.
but like we were in a depression group together. So
It doesn't matter though.
but like it's we had already established the like we gave a fuck. We established that, like we care about each other and we're supposed to be there and supporting each other. And when she took a whole entire bottle of Tylenol, started puking on the lawn, like we drove to school together. Like she drove
I'm
us,
sensing the theme.
but she was, puking on the lawn. And then I was like, yeah, no, she needs to go to the hospital because like
That's so
clearly.
amazing that you did that though. Like you were paying enough attention to your friends and like really being present so that when something changed, you knew that something changed. Do you know how
But
like
I also had
emotionally
friends like
aware?
attempt suicide when I was like a tween. So like 10, 11, I had already had friends attempt suicide.
Yeah.
And so I knew to be aware of it and I knew what to look out for. And
You gave a shit early on because nobody else was giving a shit about you.
yeah, and my abusers were never my parents.
Yeah.
It was classmates.
Can I punch them for you?
Sure.
Okay. Just give me a list later.
Okay.
Like one day I'm gonna
Like I
find.
don't even remember their last names at this point.
I don't
but
care.
like,
Show me a
so
photo and my brain will be like the whole, what is it? Like the crime analysis where they do face analysis. It's gonna do that in my head so that one time when they walk by me, I'll notice them and recognize them and walk up to them.
especially because they might be still in Texas for all I know.
Oh,
but,
I didn't even think that they were still in Texas. I just will lock on to them, punch them in the face, and walk away, and they'll have no idea why it happened, but we'll know.
No. Natalie, I'm looking at you. No, I'm kidding.
I have one of you. Hey, no.
Yeah, Natalie too. No, I have some great Natalies in my life right now, but as a kid, no.
I have like one note, a Natalie that I know actually, it was so fucked up that years later we were at a like a club, we'll say. Sorry, I was trying to think of what it was. It's like a nightclub. And she was there with her partner and was looking at me and I recognized who she was. And I was hoping that like
she didn't recognize you.
Yes, that she didn't recognize me, but she did. And then she came up to me and she was like, is your name Michelle? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, oh, I don't know if you remember me, but my name is Natalie Embry and I bullied you at school. Do you remember that? And I looked at her and her partner was like, you bullied her? If you bullied her, you better tell me. Did she bully you? Because I'll punish her. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, not only are you fucking reminding me of something that I don't want to be reminded of in any part of my life because it was not a fun experience. And then you're putting the pressure on me to answer you and exonerate you for fucking bullying me. Like, go fuck yourself. So I didn't know how to handle it. I just laughed it off and was like, ha, 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 I don't remember. You didn't do that. You were really nice. And then I just walked away. And then I went into a room and cried with my partner because I was so ashamed of something that I had nothing to be ashamed for, but because I hadn't worked on some of it, like it was just really heavy, like to be put in that position where you want nothing more than your past to be behind you. Mm-hmm. And it sucks when the people that like, because everyone made my life a living hell from grade school all the way up until 12th grade. Like, no, that's not true. Up until 11th grade. And then I decided to go to a continuation school because the school I was going to was literally killing me.
Yeah. this is like where me going to 4 different high schools was actually kind of a good thing.
Because you could
Um,
reinvent yourself.
I didn't actually have to reinvent myself, but I didn't have to carry my trauma with me everywhere.
And there probably wasn't the history that people had known that there was this. You were already a target because you had trauma, but being
Mhm.
able to let go of that trauma and then go to a new school, it was free, and I'm sure.
And then already have that, no, you're not going to treat me that way. I have these boundaries. And
You started building those early. That's so good. I
Mhm.
did too, but I was
But I also moved every 2.5 years.
right.
So, I mean, yeah, I basically became a force to be reckoned with. Everyone loved me because I was awesome, which I mean, I am, but
You
still,
are.
but also they were terrified of crossing me because I had no tolerance for any of that bullshit. And I
I
had
think
no tolerance early. And then since they didn't have that nick in my armor
right.
anymore, like they didn't already have that in there, like they couldn't find a way in. And so I scared them because I was
So
not giving or forgiving on that.
right. So like for me, you're gonna know who I'm gonna bring up in a little bit in this story. So for people who don't know, since we are going to turn this into like a thing, right? Like we're going to record it
Right.
and share it on YouTube. Or you can even take it for Twitch if you want to use it for your own audience. I don't mind at all,
Okay.
as long as you
Sweet.
advertise for my business too and put links.
Yeah.
I was just
Always.
saying, I'm making stipulations. We're signing a
Okay.
verbal contract.
All
That
right.
means you're fucking mine.
It's recorded. Okay. Oh darn.
Right?
Wait,
Oh,
am I
whoops.
supposed
Did
to
I
like
accidentally
fight
do
that a bit more?
that? You really put up a lot of resistance there.
Darn. Do I have to make it look more convincing next time?
No, we're good.
Okay.
So
Okay.
no, but like God, every single age group that I remember, I was either bullied by teachers or bullied by
Mhm.
kids. In 6th grade, I remember it was the first year that I was in public school. I was brand new, super
Mhm.
shy, but also had ADHD and trauma
Mhm.
and all of this other stuff happening. And I had 3 different teachers because they had 3 different periods because they were trying to get you like used to the whole transition from 6th grade to 7th grade to junior high.
Got
And
it.
so there was Mrs. Shit, what was her name? Shireen, I think was her name. She was such a wonderful teacher. She was at College Park. She was fantastic. And she really went out of her way to like advocate for me because I think she could see that I was a good kid and that I just really had a lot of fucking trouble.
And
But
it's hard when you're a kid and they put a label on you and then there's
yes,
no breaking out of that label and that label
yes,
follows you.
yes,
We kept
a million percent.
like, and so when I'm saying like I got to move and do the different high schools, whatever
Yeah.
label that they were in the middle of trying to put on me moved before they could put it on.
Oh, I'm envious of that for you. I'm so glad you had that. Like I really am grateful that you were able to have that protection because
Especially
you
because
needed it. I
going
mean, you're
from
just a decent
Missouri,
human.
yeah,
So,
and
but
in the Midwest is weird anyway. So
I mean,
yeah,
all of the US is weird. It's just
it's true. It's
different
just different
weirdness.
ways.
Yeah. So
Right.
no, so
Okay.
like
Yeah.
okay, 6th
You
grade,
had this
Mrs.
amazing teacher.
Rawlings. I had this amazing teacher, and then I had Mrs. Rawlings, who made my life a living hell. She was this tall, like she looked like a fucking tree, but she was
Oh
like
man.
an old woman with a head that looked like, remember Marge's sisters?
Yes.
Like that's kind of what she was, except she was like 6 feet tall.
Oh my
And
god.
she was really
So
mean
so
to
she's
me.
almost more like Mrs. Trunchbull at that point.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, kind of. But a tall, tree, lanky version. She wasn't really lanky. She was a big woman, but she was like not fat. She was just huge, like tall and massive because she was
Muscular.
tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway, so I was in her class. She taught history and they had just changed my medication because at the time I was on stimulant medication for my ADHD.
Okay.
And I think I was on Dexedrine at that point,
Okay.
which worked really well for me, but we were trying to figure out like a good dosage. So it
Mhm.
ended up changing while I was at school. And I told her that it was changing because I was supposed to go to the nurse's office to take this medication. And I had told her And I had raised my hand and everything, but she did not like people interrupting the class. And so even though it was time for me to go, which the nurse was supposed to call, but the nurse didn't. So I was trying to be a good kid, and you know where this is going, don't you?
Yeah.
So I told her, and she was like, you're just trying to disrupt the class, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm really telling you the truth. Please call the nurse. I'm not lying. So she called the nurse. The nurse was like, oh, I don't have any paperwork for her. The time is at the original time. She's not supposed to come here until then. And so Mrs. Rawlings hung up the phone, and I was very adamant that I wasn't, lying or anything. And she like basically belittled me and made me feel like shit in front of the whole class, because she was very loud about it, and she was making like an example of me. And then 5 minutes later, the nurse calls and was like, oh, I finally found the paperwork. Please send Michelle down. Like, it's absolute. She's totally right, blah, blah, blah. So when Mrs. Rawlings hung up the phone, she looks at me and she goes, you wanted her to do that to disrupt my whole class, didn't you? And I was like, what are you talking about? No. So then she's like, well, because you wanted to be such a loud like interrupt everything and cause so much trouble, I'm going to walk you to your thing to make sure that you actually do what you're supposed to do, because you're causing so much trouble, right? So she fucking walked me to the nurse's office while she made me feel like shit. And then we get back to her class and everyone's laughing. Everyone's been making fun of me and just making me feel like shit. And this lasted the whole entire fucking year, to the point that when I went to our sixth grade graduation dance, I had boys coming up to me telling me that they wanted to dance with me. And then as I was about to go to the fucking thing, they'd be like, oh, you think I actually want to dance with you? You're fucking, we hate you. You're ugly. You're fat. You're weird, blah, blah, blah. And it was like 5 or 6 guys, until I ran to the payphone, called my mom crying, begging her to come pick me up because I had a horrible time and didn't want to be humiliated anymore. So it is, that's always followed me, like whether it's, and those kids went to my same high school and they did the same thing. I had like a bunch of Hispanic Chola girls try to beat me up once because this girl Jackie hated me and I would not let her like when she tried to humiliate me at that point, I was then so tired of it that I stood up for myself because I just couldn't handle it anymore.
Sure.
And so I talked so much fucking shit to her and would not back down. She tried to beat me up and I was like, okay, I'll wait for you after school. I'm calling my mom. Mommy, come and rescue me. This girl's going to kill me. You have to come. It's going to be terrible. So my mom came after school because, of course, she loves me and she wants to protect me.
Right.
And I didn't find Jackie until we're driving away. And I was like, Jackie, I waited for you, but you didn't come out until now. So fuck you, bitch. And we drove away. I was still terrified the whole entire time.
Oh my God.
I was not going to let her see it because
good.
Like, everyone treated me like I had people throw bottles at me in school because so I have PCOS, you know this, we've talked about it. I have facial hair. I can't do anything about it. I am so like, even just talking about it makes me uncomfortable, but I'm doing this because it's the only way that I know how to get myself over it. Because if I don't talk about it, then I don't deal with it because I don't give people the opportunity to love me anyway, because there's nothing wrong with me. Right. So
I know that.
All through school, I had this girl, Victoria Layton. She used to call me Fuzzy Bunny and like would talk about it all the fucking time. Boys would talk about it when I was in class. We were watching a movie about monkeys and they were like, oh my God, that's Michelle. That's Michelle. Ha! Throwing stuff at me. So I would take the bottle and throw it back at him. And then I got in trouble because I was the one that the fucking sub saw. But like throughout all of it, I found so many things that saved me, like books, for example, like Piers Anthony, Tamara Pierce, Francesca Leah Block, like these very strong voices that literally created a world where everyone was accepted.
Yeah.
Everyone. Yeah. It was all about equality and also equity, like creating a world where.
And with Tamara Pierce, with the Atlanta series, she created that equality and being that trailblazer was so powerful for me at such a young age.
Same with Anne Rice. Some of her books, like I discovered, I probably shouldn't have discovered this at the ripe age of 15, but Anne Rice's
you know what? Sexual Awakening is still a thing.
Right.
Really, you found it at 15? That's hilarious.
It was 15, 16, around the same time that I met Guillermo and started dating him.
Okay, that puts some things into perspective.
Right? So now you understand also like why Guillermo was a thing, because he was so sweet and kind, and he had so much shit to deal with that we wouldn't understand as being white women. And it, you know, like he was so hurt, but so were we for different reasons. And
the hurt attracts the other hurt.
right.
So, you know, you guys want to heal each other, and
we
all that.
were so desperately looking for a partner, because we're told also throughout our whole entire life that the whole point of life is to find love and to get married, especially for women. Like your life
And have
doesn't start.
children.
Your life doesn't start. Like you don't become worthy until you find a man that says that you're worthy. And
then can pop out a bajillion kids for them.
well, right, because you know, you shouldn't be in relationships and you shouldn't procreate unless it's for creating children.
Yep.
It's insane that these things are what we hear and we internalize them, and they don't
how
even understand.
dare we enjoy ourselves and have fun?
Like we literally have a fucking country where we can't pay for shit, and we're not supposed to like then choose not to have children because we can't afford them. Like, come on now. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So now that we've done talking about all the trauma in our lives and explained
right?
Why we can have these conversations and why connection is so important to both of us, I'm going to tell you about this idea finally. Oh my God.
Okay.
This is like the most roundabout way to
This is
ever
the
get
longest buildup ever. And I'm like, I half expect you to be like, okay, I'm done now. Like,
you want me to leave you waiting
edging
like
son of a
that?
bitch.
I can make you wait. You know, that actually really sounds super hot to me, to make you wait until the next time we have to have a conversation. This could be like part 1 of what is Michelle's idea. Stay tuned to part 2 and find out next week on blah, 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 blah.
I knew I shouldn't have admitted it.
Okay, give me a second because I actually have to pee. So I'm going to stop this so that maybe we can just make this the first episode, and then people have to pay attention to the second one to figure out what my idea is. Do you want to do it? Do you like putting other people on the edge?
Why not?
Okay, let's do it. Okay, 1 second.